Well, we're working on taking these gauge wheels apart for our 750 no-till drill. The tires are pretty worn, and so quite a few of them actually. We have 2 of these drills, so Dad's already done a number of them here. There's another couple over there, and this is one we haven't done yet. You can see these edges are deteriorated, and the importance of this is your opener discs running along here, and if this is not a nice factory edge like this one here, you can end up getting dirt trapped in between there and packing it down in your seed bed there, and then you won't get proper seed depth. So these are a couple new ones over here. One of these is for that rim he's working on tearing apart now. These rims come apart in halves. There's one half over there, the other half still pressed in here, and a bearing in between, and a couple of bolts that, well, I guess more than a couple, there's a few bolts there anyways, that bolted all together. So that press we bought the other day is coming quite in handy. Dad used to have to do this on his hands and knees, down on the ground, with a bottle jack, some blocks, and a drawbar of a tractor. Kind of a homemade press, if you will. And so this is a lot nicer than doing it in that method. So we're getting ready to take one over here to the press once we get it cleaned up. What he's doing now is running them across the wire wheel. You can see this is actually rubber residue here from the old tire, so he's running along the wire on that grinder there and taking that off so that when we go to press the new tire on, 1, it'll go on easy, and 2, it'll seat properly. So that's what he's doing over there now with the grinder.
For all you guys out there that have these John Deere 750 drills, this is the best way I've found to change these. There might be some other way that's better. You start with a press. This is much easier than working the way I did before. I've got a hardwood block here on the bottom, bigger than one of the halves of the wheel. I start with the inside down first. Put just a little bit of PB Blaster on that bead, or you could use soap or whatever you have, just to give it a little bit of something slippery. And then once again, you're putting on the back side first. Okay, center that on there. Take another block of wood, put on here, and it's kind of hard to get it centered. I mean, you do the best you can. It's gonna go wonky on you, but you're gonna have to probably do this twice. You're gonna get half of it the first time, then you'll have to probably turn it 180 degrees to get the other side. But just put some nice steady pressure on there, and you're gonna hear it pop here in a minute. It will start going down. It's important to get that bead as clean as you can. There's a lot of rubber residue and a little bit of rust on those, which makes it hard for that to slide. This press is really nice. This is my 6th one, so you don't get to see the ones that I struggled with. So I can look somewhat intelligent on this one, I hope. I guess this is the 7th one. This is, no, 6.
This is 6.
Number 6. Now if you look, our rubber is down on the wood. But we got a little bit of a lip here on these 2 sides. We're gonna take the tension off and turn it 180 degrees and put a little pressure on that as well, so we can get that on there as square as we can. It's really cold today, so this oil is really thick.
You can see her ever so slightly moving.
It's not moving real good today.
It's pretty cold today.
Yesterday it was 50 degrees. It moved a lot better. Today it's about 20, 25, so it's not moving near as good. So now we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to hit it at a different angle. And that should get the other side of our tire on there square. Steady way of doing it here on this device. Makes it a lot nicer. So now we want to start with our outside rim down this time. And I need to get a bearing. I'm up with a new one on this one. I bought 3. I guess I feel obligated to use 3. I saved the best ones. I don't know how long you're supposed to run them. I tend to run things until they quit. Kind of a tightwad that way, I guess. Frugal, we'll use that word. Frugal. And then again, we're going to put a little bit of lubricant on there to help it going down. I need those, that small punch in that bolt over there, Ben. Now you're going to notice on these rims, there's only one way that they line up. You have to make sure that you get your holes lined up. This is critically important. You're going to be very upset, as I have been, and you're going to end up tearing it apart again. And it's so much fun the first time, you just love to do it the second time. But anyway, the holes that I choose are these, and I don't know if they were put there by John Deere for alignment or not, but that's what I use them for. These 2 out here in the middle of nowhere. Alright, where are you? That don't get any bolts are the 2 that I use.
I think you need
There it is. We're going to have the light in here today.
Yeah.
This is dark. Never had to work here before.
There used to be an old wood lathe bottom here, you know, no lid on top, just a table. And it sat here for, God, I don't know how long. And Dad always said whenever you got a press, this was where the press was going to go. I don't know how many years ago that was, but
Long time.
we now have a press.
Okay, now you try and get these as square as you can. These 2 alignment points. And make sure your bearing's in there, because you'll be mad if you press it on, there's no bearing, you gotta tear it back apart again. Done that already. Alright, now try and squeeze this thing down there as straight as we can. This is the challenging one here. It has a tendency to go every which way but straight.
I think that's it. I think it just popped.
Doesn't look too bad, really. I think we're gonna call that good. Now, if you look, there's just a slight alignment issue there. So if it's lubricated, might need a bigger pump. If it's got lubrication on it, it will move for you. Most of the time these are lined up about perfect, but not always. Every once in a while you have to work with it just a little bit to get it final alignment. But that helped, just going around it and working it just a little bit. Yesterday I did it the hard way, the ratchet. Today we're working smarter, not harder. We're going to use an impact today. That speeds it up a lot. These little impact wrenches are really handy. My son has taught me that. Ready. And I usually start with the center ones first. Draw your center hub together first and then work to the outside. we go, there's one. You can see our bearings where it belongs. Nice and smooth on both sides. It's all lined up. Rim is down where it needs to be. Much nicer looking wheel than what we started with.
Yeah.
So we'll go grab the last one. One more time. Used to do 3 or 4 of these a year. This year there's a lot more and I just didn't want to do it the hard way. So we got the press. That's nice.
Now we're putting these wheels back on now. That way this thing's somewhat ready to go for planting. There's still a lot to do throughout the remainder of the winter here, but
Gotta start somewhere.
yeah. I don't know, I guess this machine probably doesn't need a whole heck of a lot to be ready. Just greased, gone over, and you know, your population set. But other than that, it's for the most part probably pretty well ready to go. We've got 2 of these drills. This is our 15-foot drill. We plant all of our soybeans through this drill, our wheat. We also plant cover crops with this drill. We have a 10-foot 750 drill that we seed alfalfa and peas and oats along with the alfalfa as a nurse crop. And then we also use it in August for seeding our cover crops. We run both these drills. Kind of speeds it up that way if you got 2 guys running with 2 planters.
Small fields that are hard to get to, the 10-footer we can sneak in. Over at Snurf we got some contour strips and limited access, so that little 10-foot drill will sneak in there. This big drill would wipe out a lot of standing corn otherwise, so it's kind of handy for that.
We don't use this drill to seed our alfalfa because this doesn't have the grass seeder box on it. And if you know anything about John Deere no-till drills, you'll know what I'm talking about when I talk about the grass seeder box. We run our alfalfa through there and then peas and oats through the big hopper here. But this machine doesn't have a grass box on it. I suppose maybe someday we might get one. They're kind of expensive. I guess for no more alfalfa that we plant every year, we don't bother buying a fancy grass seed box for this one. We just use the 10-footer.
Once upon a time, that's all I had was that 10-foot drill. And it was when we were just starting to lease more ground, and was planting a couple 100 acres of beans and 140 acres of wheat with that little 10-foot drill, and it was taking a lot of time. And that's when I started looking for a 15 and got this used one. Boy, that seemed like you were really covering ground when you got that extra 5 feet. 10 feet on every round you would gain. Made a big difference. Made it go a lot faster.
So every time you make a round with this, it'd be a round and a half of the 10-foot drill. So it sped it up.
And like he said, when we're doing cover crops, if we run 2 drills, we can knock that out in short order. If we both plant at the same time, we can get those done in a hurry. When you start running 2 machines, it makes a big difference.
Cover crop time that we plant is kind of sensitive. You know, it's in August, so there's not much moisture in the ground. So you want to get them in as fast as you can when the wheat's off and everything. That way, what little bit of moisture there is in the ground, they can utilize to grow.
Try to plant them around the 20th of August. Somewhere around the week of the 20th. That gives you enough time to get establishment before the frost comes in the fall, but you don't want them too big. Dave Brandt, the guy that we learned about the cover crop program with, he's kind of the pioneer of cover crops in our area. He's from down by Coshocton. He said, I like his slogan, if it goes to seed, it's a weed. And that's kind of the way it is with cover crops. You don't want them to go to seed. because then you got something you got to kill the next year. The purpose of the cover crop is to just do that, just to cover the soil. You're not after a harvestable product. You're just after ground cover or helping soil amendments. So you don't want to plant them too soon. Thank you.
Yep.
I'll use this opportunity to do a little advertisement for Exapta. That's a company that I do business with on no-till stuff, Exapta products. They sell a lot of aftermarket products to help with no-tilling, make no-tilling successful. These spike closers you see on the back here, those are a real game changer. The standard closing wheel is like what's on that front gang up there. It's a solid wheel. If you're planting in wet soil, that solid wheel slams that shut, and it's almost like putting it in Play-Doh, and it bakes, and then the crop can't get through, the seedling cannot get through. So for beans, we only use the back gang, we lock the front one out, so we have these changed over to the spike closer. And the purpose of a spike closer is, even if the soil is wet, when it closes that, it crumbles it, because it breaks it. There's a break between these points. So that soil is not packed into like a ribbon, it's cracked. So when it does dry, it has cracks in it and the seedlings can emerge. So those are very important. We have them on our corn planter, we have them on the back of this drill for beans. Another thing that they have, it's hard to see here, but at the bottom of the seed boot, there's a little plastic strip that tucks the seed and keeps it down, keeps it from bouncing until this wheel here comes along and sets it in place. Exapta has a special plastic, harder or a longer lasting plastic than the OEM piece. The OEM from John Deere is white. These are black. They're called Ninja seed bounce flaps. I installed those, it's been several years ago, but they seem to last a lot longer. They have more elasticity to them, and a longer lasting polymer that they're made from. But we also have those on here too, which helps with keeping the seed where it belongs once it's placed in the bottom of the furrow so it doesn't bounce out. So those are two things on here that are Exapta products. They make a lot more products. Be nice to have. Some of them are very expensive. They make a complete wheel, which is very expensive. It's cheaper to put a tire on what you have. They also make a pneumatic downforce as opposed to spring pressure for your closing pressure. Well, they make a number of products for different planters, but the no-till gets a bad rap from a lot of people. A lot of people say no-till, no crop. Well, if you aren't going to do anything right, it doesn't matter how you do it, it isn't going to work. So if you're going to no-till, you need to spend the time to do it right. You need to equip your planter properly. And so for no-tilling, it's just a little bit, there's more details. It's not quite as forgiving as conventional seeding. So there's a lot that goes into it, but no-till is very successful, very efficient, and it saves the soil. And we plant some very sensitive ground. We've got some pretty steep slopes on some of these farms. And if you were to till them, there wouldn't be anything left in a few years. It'll all wash away. So no-till for us is very, very important. This 750 drill is, you know, we're not necessarily John Deere people, as you can probably tell. There's a lot of red tractors around here. But the beauty of the John Deere 750 drill is it's an all-till drill. A drill that can be used for everything. It can be used for conventional tillage, reduced tillage, no-till. It doesn't make a whole lot of difference. You might have to make a couple little modifications to do a real good job of no-tilling, but it's a very versatile machine. They're heavy, they stay on the ground. They are a little cumbersome, long, takes a little more room to turn at the end of the field, but I like them. I know the red guys are probably turning over right now, but I believe they really have something in this drill. And of course there's newer models than this. The The 1500 series has a taller seed box, which holds more seed. For us, it's not a big issue, but if you're a big farmer in big fields, I suppose it'd be nice to have more seed. But usually for us, if you get in tough conditions, you don't want any more weight to pull around. But it's been a good machine for us. We're satisfied with the yields with it. So that completes that part of it. We'll pick a warmer day to do the greasing and all that good stuff. But we got the tires done. Really wanted to do those and try out that new press. That made it a lot more fun. Not gonna mind doing that job in the future.